Oh my god, this is torture. You winced, clutching your stomach tightly as another cramp twisted in your lower abdomen. Wine, are you okay? Your best friend whispered, staring at you with worried eyes. Her one hand reached out to rub your back as you leaned your head on your desk. These cramps, these are killing me, Nina, I swear. Your words halted and a low groan escaped your lips when another cramp followed. It was too bad, too painful that your eyes welled up. Having painful menstruation was a torture. You should have gone home before this class, she whispered, her hand soothingly rubbing on your back. You got your periods just before the class started. Nina asked you to go home because you never know when your uterus decides to torture you, but you insisted on staying and attending the last class. However, your decision came crashing down on you. You were right. Happy now? That's what you want to hear, right? You snapped her words and the pain giving rise to frustration. Fine, I'll stay silent, she murmured and clasped her mouth shut. She knew messing with you at the moment was calling for trouble. You clutched your belly with both hands, wincing time and again. Lena kept glancing at you worriedly, her hands still rubbing soothing circles on your lower back. The words of the professor were meaningless hymns as the pain became unbearable. Every passing minute felt like an year. But finally, the class ended. The students started packing their stuff as soon as the professor walked out of the class. You were not in the condition to move, so Nina packed your bag along with hers. Well, let's go. She kissed your shoulder, helping you stand up. The class was almost empty when you two walked out. You dragged your feet out of the campus gate, one hand clutching your abdomen and the other one holding Nina's hand. She was carrying both of your bags. The cramps were the worst, the kind that made you feel like curling up and refusing to face the world. Wait here, let me call a cab. She reiterated her hand from your grip, but you held it again and shook your head, unable to speak due to the pain. What, you don't want to go home? Her brows furrowed in confusion while you sighed in irritation. Jimin promised to pick me up today. He'll be here anytime. Let's wait. You groaned as the pain traveled to your lower back and down to your thighs. You usually didn't get painful periods, but since the last month, you had been stressing a lot about exams and it affected your monthly cycle. But she stayed off and sighed. Fine, let's sit over there, but we'll wait for a few more moments. If he didn't show up, I'm taking you home. Gave a small nod of approval and she escorted you towards the nearby bench. You sank into the bench and Nina took a seat beside you. You groaned when the pain twisted in your abdomen like a vice, sharp and unrelenting. You gritted your teeth and clutched the bench beneath you. Meanwhile, Nina rummaged through her bag, looking for something, anything that could give you a relief. She heaved a sigh when she found a half-eaten bar of chocolate. Here, she passed it to you. Thanks, you whispered, taking a bite of the dark chocolate. Though it wouldn't help much, but something was better than nothing. Oh, found it! She screeched loudly, startling you. You looked at her, your brows twitching in annoyance. She grinned and showed you a pack of medicine. Take it, it'll reduce your cramps. She placed a tablet in your palm and handed you her water bottle. You took it without giving a second thought because at that moment, if someone said poison would help you, you would take it as well. If I die, it's on you because I trusted you, you uttered after gulping down the medicine with water. She gaped at you in disbelief. Here I'm helping you, and you? She trailed off, narrowing her eyes at you. You grinned cheekily, taking a bite from the leftover chocolate. She sighed, looking away. Never mind, I'm sparing you since you're suffering or else. She raised her fist to your face, weighing a punch. You chuckled, waving her off with a tusk. You both sat in silence. After a few minutes, the medicine's effect started showing as your cramps reduced to a certain extent, but a slight hint of pain was still there. When will your husband come? First he stole my girl and now he's being reckless. I treated you better than him. She rolled her eyes while you chuckled. The rivalry between her and Jimin was a scene to witness. They were always on each other's throats. Maybe stuck in traffic. You go home, Nina, I can manage. She snapped her head at you, her eyes and mouth widening dramatically. You mentally rolled your eyes knowing what was coming next. You have changed. That shorty changed you. We are best friends from diapers, together in everything. And you said what? That you can manage? Her palms flew to her mouth as she fake cried. I have never felt so betrayed before. Best it's so hard that I'm having periods and you are having mood swings. You shook your head when she cried louder. The passerby were giving her looks, but Nina was someone who was never bothered by others' opinions. Call him and ask him to come here in 5 minutes. And if he didn't come, you would divorce him and in love with me. You blinked at her, dumbfounded. Oh, where would you take me? She thought for a moment and smirked at you. Paris. I heard that the French guys are so handsome. They look so dreamy. You looked at her weirdly when she cupped her face and blushed with a stupid smile on her face. She probably would have came across some French guy on social media and daydreaming about him. The last week it was a Chinese guy. Ignoring her, you pulled your phone out of your pocket and dialed Jimin's number. Holding the phone to your ear, you waited for him to pick up. However, you frowned when the call went to voicemail. What happened? She asked when you dialed his number for the second time. The call again went to voicemail. He isn't picking up. Now don't stop me. I'm calling a cab and we are going home. As she tried to get up, you stopped her by holding her arm. He promised me, Nina. Let's wait for some time, please. I would feel really bad if we left and he would arrive later. She opened her mouth to protest, but the pleading look on her face rendered her silent. She sighed, throwing her head back in defeat. Fine, but only for 15 minutes. You smiled and nodded. She muttered something under her breath as she sat back on her previous spot. It's cold, you whispered, clutching your coat tighter as the winter wind cut through it, chilling your fingers that were trembling from the combination of cold and sheer frustration. Of course it is. We have been sitting here for like the last 45 minutes. Let's just thank the Almighty that we didn't freeze to death. She snapped, folding her arms, her voice a blend of frustration and anger. Maybe something came up. Nina shot you a glare. You sealed your lips, gulping the word that you were going to speak. Stop defending him. He could have informed you if something came up, but he isn't even picking up the calls. You sighed. She was right. You checked your phone again, hoping to see a message or a missed call. Nothing. And the cramps weren't helping your patience. You felt your emotions swirling, anger, sadness, and exhaustion colliding in one massive hormonal storm. Let's go, Nina, you said, standing up. Finally, she muttered, standing up after you. You both grabbed your bags, looking for a cab. The crumbs gnawed at your insides like they had a personal vendetta. The day had already been miserable. Pop quizzes, group projects, and a relentless professor who seemed to thrive on your suffering. Waiting in the freezing cold for hours just felt like the final nail in the coffin. Two girls from your class walked by, their laughter carrying in the wind. One of them glanced at you both and whispered something to her friend, who snickered as they passed. Great. Now I'm not only humiliated but also the object of amusement for the people who don't even know what I'm going through. You yelled, throwing your hands in frustration. Girl, calm down. She rubbed your arm, sensing your mood. Your anger was clearly visible on your expression, and you looked as if you would kill anyone right at the moment. Nina hailed a cab for you. You got inside, your teeth chattering due to cold. Shall I come with you? No, I'll be fine. Call a cab and go home. I'll text you after reaching there. She nodded and waved at you. Take me to the cafe heaven, please. You told the driver you were shaking with a mix of fury and pain. They served the best hot chocolate and you needed it at that moment. As the cab sped through the city streets, your mind raced. Where was he? What was he doing? Why did he come to pick you up? And above all, was he okay? You couldn't stop yourself from worrying about him. As much as you were furious, you were equally concerned. When you pushed open the cafe door, the warmth hit you instantly, thawing your frozen cheeks. The comforting aroma of coffee and freshly baked pastries wafted through the air, but it did little to ease your worry. You walked towards the counter to order hot chocolate. However, you stopped in your tracks when you saw him, your husband. There, in the far corner cozy table, sat Jimin. His dark hair fell perfectly over his forehead as he leaned over the table. What caught your eyes was the woman sitting across from him, who had his full attention. She was beautiful, polished, confident, the kind of woman who looked like she belonged in a magazine. She was holding a portfolio, flipping through pages as they discussed something animatedly. The betrayal you felt was as sharp as a knife. For a moment, you just stood there, frozen in place, trying to register the situation. The rational part of your mind whispered, "There's an explanation for this." But the rest of you, the part that had been waiting in the cold, battling cramps, humiliation, and anger, couldn't take it. Without thinking, you marched across the room, the sound of your boots on the wooden floor turning heads, but you didn't care. You were too angry to care about the stays of other patrons. Jimin, you snapped, your voice shaking with fury but loud enough to cut through the cafe's hum. Both Jimin and the woman looked up. Ryan, his eyes widened with shock. "What are you doing here?" he asked, standing up. He looked like he had been caught doing something illegal, a deer caught in the headlights. "What am I doing here?" you said, your voice trembling with a mix of rage and hurt. "I should be asking you that question. I have been waiting outside the campus for an hour, Jimin, an hour, in the freezing cold, in pain, while you are here causing up with." You gestured to the woman, her. The woman's eyes darted between you and Jimin, her expression caught somewhere between awkward and apologetic. Looking uncomfortable, she started to gather her things. "I think I'll leave you to talk." "No, please stay," he said, holding up a hand to stop her. He turned to you, guilt written all over his face. "When I can explain, this isn't what it looks like." "Oh, isn't it?" You shot back, your voice rising as you crossed your arms despite the ache in your stomach. "Then please enlighten me. What exactly am I supposed to think when I find my husband having coffee with some random woman while I'm out there?" "Why stop?" Jimin interrupted, his hands raised in a placating gesture. "This is Jisoo. She's an interior designer. I hired her to help me with a surprise for you." "A surprise?" You blinked, momentarily thrown off by the unexpected explanation. "What kind of surprise?" Jimin cleared his throat, scraping his neck sheepishly. "I hired her to design a library for you. I know how much you love books, and I wanted to create a space that would feel like your personal sanctuary." You blinked, stunned after hearing his explanation. "A library?" "Yes," she chimed in hesitantly. "He has been very specific about making it a cozy space for you to read and relax." You switched your gaze from her to Jimin. He nodded, a soft smile curving on his lips. "Yes, baby," he said softly, stepping closer to you. "Your birthday is around the corner and I wanted to make it special. I thought it would be a perfect surprise for your birthday. I know how much you have always dreamed of having your own reading space, and I thought it would make you happy." For a moment your anger faltered. You could picture it. A cozy room lined with shelves filled with your favorite books, a soft armchair by the window, a space that felt entirely yours. But then the reality of the situation hit you again. That's sweet. You said you were still tired, but it doesn't explain why you didn't pick me up. Why you left me waiting there like an idiot. His face fell, his expression turning from sheepish to downright guilty. Vine, I'm so sorry. I completely forgot I. You forgot? You forgot about me? You interrupted, your voice breaking. No, I mean yes, but not in the way you think I. That's your excuse, huh? You interrupted, your voice bitter and sharp. You could have informed me, but you decided to ignore my calls. I can't believe this. His eyes widened slightly. He instantly patted his pockets, his brows furrowing in realization. Oh no, I think I left my phone at my office. His voice dropped octave low was in the hand, his face contorting with regret. You left your phone and you forgot about me. I get it now. I get it. You whispered, looking at him with hurt in your eyes. His heart clenched painfully, seeing your eyes glistening with tears. Why, baby? He reached out to grab your hand, but you stepped back immediately. Don't baby me now. I got it how much you care about me. Your emotions were all over the place. You couldn't hold your surmounting anger. He sighed at the accusatory tone, reaching for your hands again, but you pulled away. Why, I'm so sorry. I got so caught up in finalizing the plans for the library that it completely still slipped my mind. You cut him off. Do you have any idea how worried I was? How humiliated I felt standing there, freezing and in pain, while you were here enjoying coffee or whatever? Fine, please. I wasn't enjoying anything. I was trying to make this perfect for you. I messed up, okay? I'm sorry. He hesitantly took a step closer. Fortunately, you didn't back off this time. The cafe was dead silent now, all eyes on the two of you. The tears you had been holding back finally split over, and you quickly wiped them away. I can't believe you, Jimin. You forgot me. You said your voice cracked as you burst into loud sobs. Jimin gaped at you dumbfounded as you wailed like a child. He raked his eyes around. The people were not really looking at them, but they were clearly eavesdropping. You could understand why you were crying over a small thing. You weren't then sensitive. Besides, he was only planning a surprise for you. He opened his mouth to speak, but you beat him to it. And don't you dare blame this on me being emotional because of my period. You added, your voice breaking. He immediately shut his mouth, his eyes wide. He knew better than to argue at this point. The silence that fell over was deafening. Neither of you spoke while Jisoo awkwardly switched her gaze between you and Jimin. But then Jimin decided to break the silence. His shoulders slumped and he looked genuinely devastated. You are right. I don't have any excuse. I'm an idiot. I should have been there for you and I wasn't. I'm so, so sorry. He took another step closer, hesitantly reached out to grab your shoulders. For a moment he stood stiff, expecting you to wind your hand and break his jaw, but when you didn't react, he slowly drew you closer. You sniffed and glared at him but didn't resist his touch. Are you in pain, huh? He asked softly. You stared at him, your emotions swirling, anger, hurt, exhaustion, and something else you couldn't quite place. Finally, you exhaled shakily and gave a small, curt nod. Come here, my princess. He pulled you in a hug despite your resistance, whispering apologies over and over into your hair. Though you wanted to stay mad, the combination of his warmth and the pain from your cramps made you cave slightly. I know I messed up big time. I'm so, so sorry. I swear I only wanted to do something special for you. I'll make it up to you, I promise. You glared at him, still furious, but the sincerity in his eyes made your hurt soften just a fraction. Take me home, you said, your voice muffled against his chest. Of course, he said immediately, grabbing his coat. He turned to Jisoo. I'll call you tomorrow to finalize the details. Jisoo nodded, giving you a small apologetic smile as you turned and walked out of the cafe with Jimin. The car ride home was suffocatingly silent. The only sounds were the low hum of the engine and the occasional swish of the windshield wipers clearing away the mist. You sat stiffly in the passenger seat, arms crossed, your gaze firmly fixed out of the window. The passing city lights blurred into streaks of gold and white, but you weren't really seeing them. You were too wrapped in your emotions, anger, exhaustion, and the sting of betrayal, though Jimin had a valid excuse. He glanced at you repeatedly, his lips parting as if to speak, but each time he hesitated. Finally, he broke the silence. Wyan. His voice was tentative, almost a whisper. You didn't respond, keeping your gaze fixed outside. Baby, please. He tried again. But I know you are mad at me, but at least talk to me. Silence again. He sighed and looked ahead. He stayed silent for a moment and then spoke again. Okay, tell me, what do you want? Chocolates, snacks, anything. Ice cream would be a better option. Should I take you to your favorite sushi restaurant? He chirped excitedly, but it disappeared when you didn't respond. Heaving another sigh, he parked his car near a convenience store. I'll be right back. Just stay here. You want me to bring something for you? You slowly turned your head towards him. He smiled and raised his eyebrows. Name it. I'll get it for you. Milk chocolate. You whispered and looked away. He chuckled and got off the car. You watched as he made his way inside the store. He returned after 10 minutes. His hands were full of bags, and there was a bouquet of red roses as well. You frowned. Where did he buy this? Then you looked behind him and noticed a flower shop beside the 24/7 store. Here's the, Here is your milk chocolate, and here flowers for my beautiful wife. You took the chocolate and stared at the flowers. You were mad at him, but not actually mad. Your emotions were chaos, and your mind a mess. Take it, sweetheart. You wouldn't have to tell twice as you took the bouquet from him. He kept all the bags in the back seat and hopped on the driver's seat. Turning on the engine, he drove towards your home. It was complete silence as he kept his attention on the road while you enjoyed your chocolate. You walked inside the house, followed by Jimin, who was fussing over you like a guilty puppy. Dropping your bag on the couch, you made your way straight to your shared bedroom. Jimin stared at your rereading form and sighed heavily. His hands were loaded with the bags. The bags had snacks and some other stuff that you might need. He was all set to take care of you, but you weren't even speaking to him. Only hot chocolate can change her mood now. He mumbled to himself and made his way towards the kitchen to get to the work. Kicking the door open, Jimin stepped inside. He was carrying a tray with a glass of hot chocolate, a heating pan, a few bars of chocolate, and some more snacks. Upon entering, he found you curled up in a blanket. Faint, muffled sobs broke the silence of the room, your body racking with every cry. Jimin frowned, his heart thudding inside his ribcage. What made you cry now? He placed the tray on the nightstand and took a seat on the bed beside you. Why get up? He called out softly, but your sobs got louder. He tugged at the blanket, pulling it down to her neck. Your tear-stained face came in his line of vision. Your red, swollen, bloodshot eyes met his, and another sob vibrated through her chest. Cheeks were wet with tears, face slightly red from crying. What's wrong? Why are you crying? You shook your head and buried your face in the pillow. Hey, come here. He grabbed your arm and pulled you up in his arms. You buried your face in his chest, crying hysterically. He rubbed your back, pressing kisses on top of your head. Calm down, stop crying. He whispered sweet nothings in your ear as he held you tighter. After crying for a few more minutes, your cries finally died down to soft sniffs. He gently pulled away, his eyes raking on her face. Look, what did you did to yourself? Your face is all red. He scolded gently, wiping your face with utter tenderness. Now tell me why you were crying. Is it paining that bad? You shook your head and held his hand between yours. I'm sorry. I overreacted and embarrassed you in front of many people. You were planning a surprise for me, and I'm really sorry, Jimin. Don't. He shook his head when your chin quivered, as if you would start crying again, but a few tears rolled down your cheeks. He sighed, cradling your face in his palms. He gently wiped those tears. It's not a big deal. Forget about it. Your frustration was justified. If I were at your place, I would have reacted like that too. I should be the one apologizing. First, I broke my promise and then didn't even inform you. I'm so sorry. He leaned down to press a kiss on your forehead. As he pulled back, you glared at him. You're right. You should apologize. I'm crying for nothing. The rapid switch in your mood had Jimin questioning his existence, but he knew better than playing with fire. Leave that. Have this hot chocolate. I made this for you. Come on. He reached for the glass and handed it to you. Jimin held his breath as you held the glass and took a sip. When you gave him a smile of approval, that's when he released the breath, feeling relieved. After finishing the drink, you returned the empty glass and lay back down. Jimin kept the glass aside and lifted up the blanket to put the heat pad on your abdomen. A hiss escaped your lips when he pressed his palm on top of the pad. Get some rest, he said, tucking you properly in the blanket. As he tried to walk away, you grabbed his wrist. Won't you cuddle with me? He grinned and instantly got inside the sheets as if he were waiting for this. I was waiting for you to say this. He giggled and pulled you closer, his hand moving to place your thigh on top of his. His fingers gently massaged it. You hummed in ecstasy and tucked your head under his chin. My head hurts. You whispered against his neck. His hand moved to your head, his fingers applying pressure, gentle and comforting. It hurts because of all the crying you did, or maybe because you stayed out in the cold for long. You hummed groggily, his warmth lulling you to sleep. It trailed off when he heard your soft snores. But all of a sudden, you opened your eyes and shot him a look. The library better be perfect. He grinned and leaning to kiss your forehead. It will be, I promise. With that, you again closed your eyes and drifted off to your dreamland.